One crisp afternoon, as the school bell echoed through the corridors, signaling the end of another day, Sicil turned to Sebastian's class with a bright smile and asked, "Seb, are we ready to leave? Will we go to the ice cream shop before going home?" she asked. Her eyes filled with the anticipation of sharing an ice cream. But Sebastian, always the elusive guardian, hesitated. "I promised Lily I'd help her with homework today," he explained, his gaze flickering between Sicil and the approaching Lily. Sicil's heart sank at the mention of Lily. She knew Lily had a soft spot for Sebastian, and the idea of him staying back to help her with homework did not sit well with Sicil. Determined not to reveal her feelings, she feigned nonchalance. "That's fine, I will see you tomorrow then," Sicil replied, trying to sound indifferent. As Sebastian stayed back to assist Lily, Sicil lingered around the school premises, hiding behind corners and trees. Little did she know that Sebastian was aware of her presence, his heart swelling with happiness at the thought of her waiting for him. When Sebastian finally approached her, Sicil put on a facade of busyness, pretending not to notice him. She walked ahead as if she did not need his company, leaving him to catch up. But Sebastian, ever perceptive, understood the dance of shadows and light that played out between them. As they neared home, the atmosphere took a sudden turn. A reckless biker sped by dangerously close to Sicil. In an instant, Sebastian pulled her back, saving her from the oncoming danger. Caught off guard, Sicil fell into Sebastian's arms, a mixture of surprise and gratitude in her eyes. But Sebastian, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment, immediately adopted his usual cold demeanor. In front of Lily, he cautioned Sicil for not being more careful, a harsh rebuke that left her humiliated and hurt. With tears in her eyes, Sicil ran home, leaving Sebastian to wrestle with the complexity of his emotions. Later that evening, a gentle knock echoed through Sicil's quiet room, disrupting the solitude she sought. With a teary glance, she approached the door. Wiping her tears, she swung the door open and found Sebastian standing there, an offering in hand. "Seb?" Sicil's voiced with surprise, her eyes widening as she took in the sight of him holding a chocolate cake. "Hey," Sebastian greeted, his tone warm and tentative. I brought you something." Sicil's eyebrows furrowed slightly in confusion. "A cake?" "Yeah," Sebastian affirmed, offering the confection with a small smile. "Peace offering?" A flicker of amusement danced in Sicil's eyes as she accepted the cake, the tension in her shoulders easing at the gesture. "Wow, thank you," she replied softly, the edges of her lips curling upwards. Sebastian's smile widened as he gently ruffled her hair, a silent apology conveyed through the simple action. "You know I hate it when we fight. Can we make up, please?" Sicil's heart softened at his words, the warmth of reconciliation enveloping her. "Of course," she agreed, stepping back to allow him entry. "Come on in." As Sebastian entered the room, Sicil could not help but feel a sense of relief wash over her. The tension that had hung between them dissipated with each passing moment, replaced by a familiar sense of companionship. Sebastian smiled at their picture on her bedside table from his uncle's wedding, and realized even he has the same one on his bedside decorated by her. He turned towards her and confessed softly, "I am sorry," his gaze meeting hers with sincerity. Sicil's breath caught in her throat at the vulnerability in his words, a rush of affection swelling within her chest. "I should have been more careful on the road," she admitted, the weight of their recent disagreement lifting from her shoulders. With an understanding passing between them, Sebastian smirked playfully. "Let's not fight again, okay?" A soft chuckle escaped Sicil's lips as she nodded in agreement, the corners of her mouth lifting in response to his light-heartedness. "Agreed," she affirmed, a sense of peace settling over them. Sebastian's grin widened as he glanced down at the cake still nestled in Sicil's hands. "Now who's ready for some cake?" Mr. Anderson passed through the room, his gaze catching the sight of Sebastian and Sicil, sharing a moment over a slice of cake. With a knowing smile, he approached Sebastian, his voice carrying a hint of curiosity. "Sebastian, my boy, how's that school project coming along?" Sebastian's attention shifted from Sicil to Mr. Anderson, a polite nod of acknowledgement accompanying his response. "Good evening, sir. It's progressing very well," he replied, his voice filled with enthusiasm as he prepared to update Mr. Anderson on his latest endeavours. He excused himself from Sicil's side and followed Mr. Anderson out of the room. As they settled at the dining table, the faint echoes of their conversation lingered in the air. Sicil sat with the cake, savouring the sweetness that masked the bitterness of their earlier encounter. Little did she know that from a distance he observed her every move. He knew she watched him with doting eyes, hanging on every word he uttered. Sebastian, however, restrained himself from intervening further. As Sicil savoured the chocolate cake, Sebastian could not help but admire the smudges of sweetness adorning her cheeks. Suppressing the impulse to wipe them away himself, instead, after talking to Mr. Anderson, he reached for a napkin from the table and approached her room again. With a soft smile, Sebastian offered the napkin to Sicil. "Here you go," he said gently, as he bid her good night. Sicil accepted the napkin, touched by Sebastian's thoughtfulness. As he turned to leave, she watched him go with a hint of yearning behind her smile, like a sweet, lingering scent. Wiping away the chocolate with a napkin, she felt a sense of confusion. Did his gesture signify mere care or something deeper? In her heart, she silently hoped for Sebastian to reciprocate her feelings someday. Unknown to Sicil, Sebastian's love for her surpassed her wildest dreams. From afar, he silently supported her, his affection promising a deeper bond.